If you're under 45 years old, back pain is the leading cause of disability. 9 out of 10 people will have back pain by the time they reach 50. The best way to avoid this, quite simply, is by having the strongest back possible. The deadlift is the best way to accomplish those goals. In this video, I'm going to show you the differences between a barbell deadlift and a dumbbell deadlift, and to see which is the best to help you prevent being one of the statistics. So why should you even bother trying to deadlift at all? A study from the 2015 Strength and Conditioning Journal found that people with back pain who started off with a reasonably low level of pain and reasonable level of endurance were able to make fairly significant gains in their back pain and function by adding the deadlift to their repertoire. Researchers in that study used the classic barbell deadlift and found that people with good baseline low back endurance and reasonably low levels of pain had the greatest outcomes in improving their function and pain over the course of several months of deadlifting. We'll start off with the barbell deadlift so we can see all the pros and cons that you might encounter. When we look at the advantages of a barbell, there's no way you're going to be able to replicate the forces that are required from your posterior chain or your lower back muscles, your glutes, and your hamstrings with a dumbbell the same way you will with the barbell. Just because of the line of pull, the angle of pull that the barbell has, when you go and try to lift, it forces all these muscles in your lower back to bring you up without assistance from as many additional muscles. So when we get into our position, we start by doing that hip hinge. Once this bar passes our knees, then we start to incorporate our legs into that squat, and then we want to lift from there, keeping that back angle. Letting go of the bar each time, and then working yourself through your repetitions based on whatever your desired volume is. Volume is just your weight that you're lifting times your number of repetitions times your number of sets, and you want to keep careful track of your volume because that's what's often going to dictate your gains or lack of gains, and it can also dictate when you may have issues from a pain standpoint. Now, besides that major advantage, another advantage you have with the barbells is that you can adjust the height of your start position very easily by using different size plates. So I have my 45-pound plates here, which is going to bring the bar off of the ground somewhere in the 8 to 9 inch range. But when I have a lower weight with smaller weight plates, I'm required to go deeper into my deadlift position. So although the weight's less, I have to go through more range of motion, which you may not have access to because of hip mobility or weakness in that position. So really controlling it through that range will help you strengthen those depths of that deadlift and work your back, hips, and hamstrings in those positions. If you don't have the strength or mobility to get all the way to the ground, just prop each of your weight plates up on an elevated, firm surface that's sturdy, preferably like a lifting box that you may have access to in a gym. Another advantage of the barbell is that once you get to the top of your lift, you can simply drop it down if you're using rubber Olympic weights. I have classic iron plates here, so dropping it on my floor is not really an option, but many of the Olympic lifts you'll see doing with a rubber weight, and that's the reason you can throw the weight down without causing any damage. I'm most certainly not going to be doing that with my Bowflex adjustable dumbbells because they'll shatter everywhere. Another advantage of the barbell deadlift is that because your weight is all connected, you have much more power and strength. That being said, as we go into disadvantages for the barbell, because you can move more weight, you're going to run into some safety issues. Especially we see this with younger male athletes just starting to train, because you can load the bar with so much weight and you feel like you have tremendous power, but we see form breakdown considerably. So we'll see people starting to load weight onto the bar and feeling like they can really power through higher repetitions, and then the back starts to round, or they get up and then the back starts to round mid-range, lift it using the muscles in their back that are not intended to lift that load. We want to see the back muscles work to keep the spine stable, and then the glutes, the hamstrings, your quads are doing the remainder of the lift, and the back is really working to assist and stabilize the spine. So a disadvantage of the barbell is that because that weight is distributed in front of your body, It requires a fair amount of strength in the back. So your chances of rounding the back and having injuries are higher if you're not starting at a certain baseline of back strength and endurance, just like that study I referenced earlier mentioned. The other obvious issue with the barbell is you need a fair amount of space to perform the exercise and to store your bars when they're not in use. Your dumbbells, you can slide them under your bed or tuck them away in a corner of a room. Much more difficult to do that with a bar if you're looking to do these at home. At the gym, much different. Storage is available for both. The reason the barbell lift is so great is because it forces your back muscles to do more of the work. That's the same reason that the dumbbells can actually be a really effective choice as well, because if you need to take some of the load off of your back, you can adjust the position of your dumbbells. They're not required to be in front of you at all time. So trying to replicate the barbell deadlift with your dumbbells, you're going to want to place them in front of you in alignment just like a bar would be. But you can see in a second how much more difficult it is because there's that freedom of movement. So the more freedom there is, the more stability it requires from muscles up the chain as well. So when I try to get down into this position, now I need to have good shoulder blade stability because that bar is not holding me tight. And you can feel immediate difference in which muscles are working. But you're definitely able to load this lower and start yourself up the chain toward being able to do a barbell lift. You tweak the dumbbell deadlift by placing these out to the side, which is then going to make this more of a quad exercise. If you need more assistance, that can be great because the quads can help out the lower back when I get in that position. So you need to be careful with that. It can quickly turn into a squat instead of a deadlift where you're not getting any work to your lower back, which defeats the purpose in the first place. One of the major advantages of the dumbbells are that you do not need much space to perform or store these, and you can start as a beginner much more easily by altering your positions. Okay, so if I change, I can go diagonal, keep things out to the side, change the width of my grip, and do more of like a sumo deadlift where I place them between to put more of an emphasis on your adductors, your groin muscles with this. So you're challenging your back in different positions. Most injuries are going to happen to the lower back from people bending or from people trying to lift from a bent position. So there's no better way than to try to simulate those forces that are happening that cause injury and pain. When we look at disadvantages for trying to use dumbbells to deadlift, you're going to have much more trouble progressing your weights as you get heavier. So if you're more of an intermediate to advanced lifter, you want to try to stick to that bar. You start trying to use 90 or 100-pound dumbbells, it's just too awkward because you need to keep those dumbbells apart from one another when you lift. Okay, so when I go to do a deadlift, I need this separation. I don't want them clanging into each other. Here, it's going to cause all sorts of problems. And in order to do that, I need my shoulders to pull apart. That horizontal abduction motion, horizontal abduction, is very weak movement in general. Hopefully this helps you on your journey to make it through life with a bulletproof and resilient low back. Remember, if you have any difficulty performing any of these movements, be sure to reach out to a movement specialist to help you get to the bottom of your issue. Subscribe to my channel to help me spread the message of cutting out unnecessary surgery and opiate use by focusing on the movement that's at the root of the problem by clicking over here. To check out another video from my channel, click down here. You gotta keep it moving, you gotta keep it moving, you gotta keep it moving.